Bill Mahr called out CNN's Caitlyn Collins on the network's bias. Let's watch.
You made press because you were on Stephen Colbert's show, and he said something like, you guys at CNN just report the news straight, and the crowd burst into laughter.
CNN is the place where both sides can watch.
They were just gushing about how great a speech it was. And I think she did fine. I didn't think it was as good as they were making it out to be. It does look like tokenism. It's kind of like the same as The View. I'm talking about the people on CNN, and what I know what the conservative side of America thinks, and I don't blame them. In a way, I feel like it's more insulting than what Trump does. And Trump says you're the enemy of the people, which is pretty bad. What she's kind of saying is, I don't need you. I'm not talking to you. You don't matter. You're not relevant anymore. To me, that's even worse than I hate you. It's like, I don't think about you.
I don't know if it's worse than denigrating the press on a daily basis, which is what Donald Trump...
Hold up. We thought Bill Maher's savage takedown of Caitlyn Collins for going after Caroline Levitt would be enough to shut her down, right? This CNN anchor, she didn't learn a thing and is now escalating her attacks on Levitt, Trump, and Elon Musk with even more vicious and desperate slanders. And Bill? Oh, he's not backing off. This time, he went in with an even more brutal smackdown, the kind of scorching response that'll make your jaw drop. You're about to witness pure, unfiltered fireworks, and guess what? We've got all the dirt, all the receipts, so buckle up. Let's dive into this drama.
You held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return them.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's
you
the
mind?
answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple you're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
Before we get into Bill Maher's epic takedown of Caitlyn Collins, let's break down why Maher, a Biden supporter, suddenly seems to be backing Republicans. Woke journalists, including Collins, have been gunning for Trump long before he even took office. Remember that clip? Caitlyn was setting a trap, hoping to get Trump to slip up and make him look unfit for office. The question? A trap. If Trump said he wanted Ukraine to win, he'd be labeled a warmonger. If he backed Russia, he'd be a traitor. A no-win situation. But Trump? He wasn't falling for it. He dodged that question like a pro, insisting he wanted to avoid more deaths on both sides. And the woke mob? They couldn't stand losing control of the narrative. So, of course, they doubled down.
Would you continue to give Ukraine money and weapons if you're elected? What's the answer?
If I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours. It'll be absolutely
Do you
over.
want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people.
Can I just follow up on that because that's a really important
Excuse me,
statement
let me
that
just
you just
follow
made
up.
there. Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying. Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop dying.
Trump wasn't having any of Caitlyn Collins' nonsense. Right then and there, he called her out. And honestly, he had every reason to. Instead of asking a simple question, Caitlyn was rambling, filibustering her own interview. Classic CNN move. It was clear she wasn't looking for answers. She was trying to trap Trump with convoluted questions, hoping for a slip-up. But Trump? He saw it coming a mile away, dodging her moves like a pro and landing a brutal counterpunch. 1 second, Caitlyn thought she had him cornered. The next, she was scrambling. And this wasn't the first time she tried it. But as always, Trump flipped the script. This time, though, she shifted her focus straight to Trump's son, Donald Jr.
That environment wasn't just created by Donald Trump.
Okay, but can I say, you can't blame, and everyone wants your dad to be safe. No one wants the threats against his life to happen, but you can't blame the media for those threats. There's been no evidence. That's what drove those.
And allows people to have a platform to call someone literally Hitler every day for 9 years, it creates it.
Okay.
Whether you want to believe it or not, that's a fact.
But as you know, J.D. Vance once likened your dad to Hitler as well. He questioned if he was America's Hitler.
This explosive exchange happened right after the assassination attempt on Trump, and Trump Jr. didn't hold back. He straight up accused the media of sparking the attack by relentlessly comparing his father to Hitler. And honestly, he's not wrong. For years, the media has painted Trump as a dangerous dictator trying to tear America apart, mocking and vilifying him at every turn. And Caitlyn Collins, throwing out that J.D. Vance once referred to Trump as Hitler? Who cares? Vance doesn't have the media's massive platform, so his words never carried the same weight. Plus, he eventually realized Trump wasn't the monster the media made him out to be. So, is it any surprise Bill Mahr had enough? He saw the blatant hypocrisy and double standards, and this time, he wasn't going to let it slide.
what you'd have to call some sort of media suppression of Hunter Biden's computer right before the election.
Oh, no doubt.
Okay,
and the truth is, I still don't know what I think about that. And sometimes,
right.
But I mean, to actually parse everything in there and figure out just how dirty Biden Sr. is as a result of the information there.
Can I go to step two? But nothing really. It was common. It was the kind of sort of everyday graft that's sleazy, but doesn't affect the world. Probably.
Yes.
Hunter Biden sold his father's influence to get money. But Joe Biden himself would not give away our nuclear secrets to the Chinese. He's not, he has a soft spot for his son, his ne'er-do-well, stupid.
I mean, you've heard his voicemails to his Hunter.
So, like, Dad, I'm in a little bit of a jam. Could you just meet with the Chinese guy next week? It would mean a lot to me. And Joe would do it. And then Hunter would get the money for the meeting.
Bill Mahr was fed up with the media's glaring double standards. Caitlyn Collins and her team have spent years shaping a one-sided narrative, glorifying Biden while demonizing Trump. It's not just reporting, it's manipulation. They've twisted every word, spun every headline, and kept the outrage machine running nonstop. But when the scandals hit their side, silence. Take Hunter Biden. His laptop reveals serious corruption and shady deals, yet Caitlyn and her crew buried the story. If Don Jr. had even a fraction of Hunter's baggage, CNN would be all over it. That's why Bill Mahr snapped. He sees the hypocrisy. The media isn't just biased, they're pushing an agenda, and this time, Mahr wasn't letting them off easy.
Appropriate to bury the Hunter Biden.
You're talking about the press doing that?
He's saying that's what they did, and that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
And we know for a fact that that's what they did?
Of course. You don't follow this.
Saying you know for a fact that that's what they did. I don't know what they did.
I know, because you only watch MSNBC.
No, that's not.
Yep. Things got real ugly when the Hunter Biden scandal broke wide open. And honestly, we're lucky Hunter didn't talk his dad into handing over nuclear codes for a quick payday. Given his track record, would anyone really be shocked? The guy has sold access, influence, and who knows what else. But sure, let's keep pretending Trump is the real villain here. The media bends over backward to protect the Bidens, acting like Hunter is just a guy dealing with personal struggles. But let's be real, if Don Jr. had half of Hunter's scandals, the media would be calling for his head. The hypocrisy is next level. They'd create a scandal if Trump so much as breathed wrong. Yet when hard evidence of corruption and shady deals drops on Hunter, they stay silent. That's exactly why people like Bill Mahr, who used to lean left, are finally calling out the circus. At some point, even lifelong Democrats have to admit, this isn't journalism, it's straight-up propaganda. And Caitlyn Collins, she's at the center of it. So when she sat down with Bill Mahr for an interview, we all knew it would be explosive. But no one could have predicted the sheer destruction that followed.
You made press because you were on Stephen Colbert's show, and he said something like, you guys at CNN just report the news straight. And the crowd burst into laughter. Look, I'm on CNN now. I guess we're on it right now. I mean, they show this show the next night. I don't know how we get away with it with all the fucks, but they do. And all these dirty jokes. But I'm glad, and I'm a big rooter for CNN. But that tells you a lot, doesn't it? I mean, how do you guys think you are doing in that arena of like, this is a terribly divided country. We're not only politicized, a lot of people just hate the other side. And CNN, in my view, should be the place where both sides can watch. How do you think you're doing with that?
How is CNN is the place where both sides can watch. And I think, my show is evidence of that. We have lawmakers on from both parties. We'll have Elizabeth Warren on one night. We'll have Ted Cruz on.
Bill Mahr didn't hold back. He ripped into Caitlyn Collins and CNN for their so-called impartiality, exposing their fake balance. He called out the network for occasionally bringing on a token conservative, only to let them speak for 30 seconds before tearing them apart. That's not balance. That's controlled opposition. Meanwhile, when it comes to Democrats, CNN acts like their personal PR team, spinning scandals into minor issues. Mahr sees through it all. He knows CNN isn't doing journalism anymore. They're in the business of controlling the narrative. They shape public opinion, pick which stories matter, and bury anything that could hurt their political allies. And when someone dares call them out, they cry misinformation and try to silence the criticism. No wonder Bill snapped. The hypocrisy was impossible to ignore.
From Alabama. I'm from a very red state. I have a very conservative family, a lot of them who are Trump voters. They watch my show every night, and I think they know that they can trust me, that, you know, we call bullshit on every side, not just whatever leaning our audience may be. And I think that's something that people actually want more of.
Dear Caitlyn, just because you're from a red state with Republican family members doesn't erase CNN's obvious bias. Newsflash, your background doesn't make you an impartial journalist. CNN is still pushing left-wing narratives, and no, my family's Republican defense will change that. For all we know, your family watches out of obligation, not agreement. They're showing support, not buying what you're selling. If CNN were truly balanced, you wouldn't need your personal life as a credibility shield. The facts speak for themselves. CNN downplays Democratic scandals, pushes anti-Trump narratives, and calls themselves fair because they let a Republican speak occasionally. Bill Mahr sees it, and that's why he called you out. And he's not alone. Check out what Megyn Kelly had to say.
I'm sorry, but she's only a star with leftists. And the fact that she has some roots in Alabama does not make her a fair and balanced reporter. I will submit to the record, her biggest sin is not that she is biased, though she is. It's that she's boring. She's extremely boring with no personality. I have a pro tip for her. Smile. Try smiling every once in a while. Try not to be, like, in your delivery, such a cold-hearted all the time, because it gives people nothing to bond to. You can be a tough interviewer and also have some warmth.
Megyn nailed it. Caitlyn Collins can't shake the bias label no matter how hard she tries. She's as left-leaning as CNN's editorial board at a Biden fundraiser. The Unbiased Journalist Act? No one's buying it. And Megyn's pro tip? Caitlyn needs to smile more and ditch that smirk. She looks like she's allergic to warmth. You can be tough without looking like you're chewing on a lemon. There's a line between sharp and cold-hearted, and right now, Caitlyn's walking it like an ice cube. You don't have to like your guests, but maybe don't look like you're planning their downfall. Megyn gets it, Bill gets it, the audience gets it. Maybe it's time Caitlyn took the hint, or maybe Ben Shapiro can show her how.
Stephen Colbert had on Caitlyn Collins from CNN, obviously talking about how terrible Trump is and what a terrible job he's doing and how Kamala Harris has all the momentum and all of that sort of thing. But that's not the interesting part of the clip. The interesting part of the clip is that Stephen Colbert says, in perfect seriousness, with a straight face, that the legacy media are objective. That CNN is objective, and listen to the reaction of the crowd. Again, this is a crowd who opts into viewing The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, which means that they are all on the left.
Trump has kind of been thrown on his heels by this, and he's not really sure how to go after Vice President Harris. He knew his attack lines on President Biden. He really has struggled with how to go after someone who's 20 years younger than him, who is a different gender, a different race. It's kind of been this moment where he has not been able to coalesce around a single attack line.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. Oh, I know. CNN makes a... I know
that's supposed to be a laugh line?
I wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is.
Okay, that is an incredible admission, number one, by Stephen Colbert.
Even the left can't pretend CNN is neutral anymore. They know it's biased, and honestly, they probably love the perks that come with it. This isn't about journalism anymore. It's all about controlling the narrative. Ben Shapiro nailed it. CNN isn't fooling anyone. Viewers tune in for the bias, not fair reporting. They want their beliefs echoed back to them, and CNN is more than happy to deliver. Anti-Trump hysteria? Check. Democrat scandals buried? Check. But here's the twist. Even left-wing viewers know it's all a show, and they don't care. As long as CNN feeds their moral superiority complex, they keep watching. That's why Bill Mahr and Ben Shapiro both see the issue. When liberals are rolling their eyes at CNN's fake neutrality, the network's lost control. Meanwhile, Caitlyn, the neutral journalist, is fishing for gotcha moments with Caroline Levitt.
Which White House official made the decision to bar the AP reporter from the Oval Office and the diplomatic reception room last night?
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight. It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus. Many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the president questions. We reserve the right to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office, and you all have credentials to be here, including the Associated Press, who is in this briefing room today.
But isn't it retaliatory in nature is the argument, because the reason that the AP was barred, which they said was because they're not using the phrase Gulf of America, they're using Gulf of Mexico in line with their standards. And so the question here is this setting a precedent that this White House will retaliate against reporters who don't use the language that you guys believe reporters should use? And how does
No one's entitled to the Oval Office, except the president. Caitlyn Collins and the woke mob clearly don't get that. Trump proved it. When the media disrespected him, he locked them out. Caroline Levitt made it clear. The president decides who gets access, not entitled journalists. Today's media doesn't just want access, they want control. And when they don't get it, they cry, attack on democracy. The real attack? A media that won't respect the office unless a Democrat is in charge. And now Karine Jean-Pierre is joining the attack on Levitt and the White House. But Levitt's clapback? Savage.
Predecessor Karine Jean-Pierre, who presided over many novel press access restrictions, criticized the recent changes to the press pool made by your office. She said in an interview, quote, what we're looking at is what North Korea is doing. What's your response to that? And can you say anything to allay concerns that unfavorable coverage will be punished in this new press pool system?
I think that's the same individual who said from this podium numerous times that the commander-in-chief was mentally and physically up for the job, which we knew was a lie. Many people in this room knew it was a lie. Many of you were admonished for asking questions about that truth. So when it comes to truth and transparency, this administration, this White House is setting the example. This president is taking far more questions than his predecessor, Joe Biden, did on a daily basis, and that will continue.
Karine Jean-Pierre must have forgotten she oversaw some of the most restrictive press access in recent history. Now, she's calling out Caroline Levitt for limiting Oval Office access. The hypocrisy is unreal. When the left restricts access, it's for security or democracy. But when a Republican does it, it's suddenly an authoritarian crisis. Give us a break. Let's not forget why Biden's restrictions were in place. He was mentally unfit for office, and Jean-Pierre gaslit America, pretending he was sharp while he was literally getting lost on stage. Levitt's restrictions weren't about hiding weakness, they were about maintaining order. So, Karine, maybe sit this one out.
And it's not just the Democrat Party. The mainstream media still doesn't get it. Last night, MSNBC's Nicole Wallace disgustingly looped in a 13-year-old boy with brain cancer into an attack on the president over January 6th. And CNN's first chyron out of the speech called it divisive. President Trump wasn't divisive. The Democrats were. And CNN was proven wrong by their own viewers, 69% of whom, in a post-speech poll, said they had a positive reaction to the president's speech. It's sad and frankly pathetic that Democrats and liberals in the legacy media continue to allow their hatred for the president to override their love for our country. But nevertheless, the president will continue to unify this nation through policies that are grounded in common sense and that uplift all Americans.
Legacy media's hatred for Trump has completely overtaken any sense of patriotism. From day one, they've worked nonstop to demonize him. Now, they're not just reporting. They're manipulating and attacking his administration. But here's the thing, people aren't buying it anymore. Poll after poll shows Americans are done with the media's Trump obsession. Now, the media's panicking because losing trust means losing everything. So, what does Bill Mahr have to say to Caitlyn Collins and CNN? Get ready.
Okay, and finally, new rule. Someone must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging, not keep digging. Talk about doubling down on what got you fucked in the first place. Even the one concession I've heard a few people on the losing side offer, that liberals should stop saying the Trump voters are stupid, comes with a kind of unspoken parentheses. We know they are stupid, just don't say it.
Mahr's spot on. Caitlyn Collins and CNN need to stop digging because they're just burying themselves. Their obsession with attacking Trump is what got him reelected. The more they demonize him, the stronger his support gets. You'd think they'd learn, but nope. Same failed tactics. If CNN wants to salvage any credibility, they need to stop the endless hit pieces and act like the neutral outlet they pretend to be. But CNN's not about journalism anymore. It's about controlling the narrative. They don't report news, they manufacture it. The real problem isn't Trump, it's the media. Their lies and bias are driving people away. If they don't change, they'll keep digging into irrelevance. So, CNN, take Maher's advice. Stop digging. America's done listening. That's all for today's video. Like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.